Welcome, sisters. Welcome back to Return of the Priestess II. And this session, we're going to be looking at the rise of the divine feminine. We're going to explore galactic history, the history of the universe. Very excited to introduce our guest today. And so let us prepare to receive this transmission with a few breaths together. So go ahead, if it's safe to do so, if you're not driving and listening to this or cooking your dinner or whatever, you can close your eyes. And placing one hand on the heart, one hand on the womb space, if that feels good to you, or perhaps just hands in the lap. Let yourself go inward now for a moment, allowing the breath to gently flow in to your being and opening to receive that breath of life, expanding into the breath, surrendering almost into that inhalation. And then as you exhale, let it slide so gently out of you, taking with it everything you're ready to release, known or unknown. And then smoothly again, bringing in the breath, allowing it to come inward to expand and nourish every cell in your body. And exhaling to settle into your sits bone, dropping the shoulders, dropping the chin a little bit, just feeling relaxed, spine straight, opening to receive the connection of sisterhood and the transmission of energy and information available as we breathe in one more time. And exhaling. Thank you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I'll share a little bit about our speaker today. So Aurora is the author of an extraordinary book, it's at my other little house. I don't have it here. It's quite an amazing book called The Galactic History of the Universe. And we'll definitely touch on that a little bit. She's a quantum alchemist who works with the energies of the collective of hearts in creation. These energies and the angelic forces assisted her in creating Aura hypnosis healing, past life regression technique that surpassed what we thought was not even possible through theta brainwave of the quantum world. Aurora's work includes removing entities, implants, AI, and reptilian consciousnesses within people, which allow the soul and DNA to self-heal and repair itself, allowing her clients to become sovereign beings once again. Aurora, thank you for being with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, sister. Thank you for having me. It is such an honor to be here with you, and thank you for such a beautiful introduction. I do have the book here.
Oh, good.
It is 740 pages worth of Galactic Soul History, and you can find it on Amazon, where you can read the first 2.5 chapters for free. Just read the first chapter, you will understand. So this is a lot of what we'll be communicating about today that consists of 38 pages of past life regression history, where internationally, people from internationally shared the universe's journey, her story, Divine Mother, Divine Father, Source's story through these beautiful chapters. So once more, it is an honor to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it is really an honor to have you and a delight as well. And so let's begin just by telling us a little bit about your background. How on earth did you end up doing this? And certainly putting that book together, I know, came from all the client sessions you've done. But how did you get to that point? Tell us just some of the highlights that would be relevant.
Yes, and that is through the collaboration of placing those past life regressions together, as well as channeled information that you will find within it as well from myself, since I channel the A.U.R.A, which are basically the galactics is what we call them. It's just the eclectic, it's the collective of all the beautiful benevolent races and the benevolent guardians, and that's who I channel every week on my YouTube channel, Rising Phoenix Aurora. And the reason how I got here is quite a long story. We'll make it very brief. I was very different, just like everyone else growing up. I remember being very aware, just being an infant, a couple days old in my crib. I also, as a child, as an infant, had telekinesis. I would turn on the blender, move dishes around in my crib in front of the kitchen. And my angels hired a ghost to pretend that that was who was doing this, because otherwise I'm sure my parents would, freak out if they knew their daughter would do that. But just like everyone else, we started to put layers and layers over, and closing ourselves off. Mm-hmm. So just like everyone else, I went through that, but I was extremely sensitive. I could pick up on thought forms, emotions, people's intentions, energy. I could read energy very easily, and I never spoke. So that I went through a huge process of that. And then finally in, towards maybe, 2012, just like everyone else, I started feeling a shift within. And then at the end of 2016 is when it happened. My world changed. I ran into Dolores. And prior to that, Dolores visiting in my dreams for about 6 months. I didn't know who she was. Then in my dreams, she would just show herself as this Caucasian lady in short blonde hair. And she was definitely slimmer and younger in the dream. So I had no idea who she was. And then one day I decided after I ran into her books, I decided to do a test trial on my husband just for fun. I was like, let's do past life regression on you. I could make it up because I had been volunteering at children's school doing guided meditations. It's like, I can do this. It's similar to that. So I ended up doing a past life regression on my husband. And it took a while though, because for the first 45 minutes he was snoring. So I thought it was not a success. However, 45 minutes I sat there and I waited, and all of a sudden, 45 minutes later, Ra starts speaking. And they take us through a journey, and I didn't know who Ra was then. And it is the same Ra of the Law of One, which they've clarified that is that there is several things within the Law of One that is infringement. Briefly, there's a chapter that there's infringement. They talk about how Yeshua killed his best friend, and that's how he positive polarized. That is a lie. Absolutely not. He was a Essenes. He was an Essenes, and they honored everything around them, including a tiny little ladybug and the wind and the trees. So that is infringement. But that's a long story, so we'll continue on. Now, that is who I channel, and part of what we'll be sharing today through our creational story, the universe's creation story, is a lot of what the guardians of Once More have shared through all these beautiful, either the past life regressions through my clients, as well as what I channel. Now, as I was going through and I did a past life, they spoke, and I only knew that they were a sun god of some kind, Egyptian god. And then they continued to talk with so much love, respect, infinite love, like they knew me, but I had no idea who they were, because we have this amnesia, right? And then from there, all of a sudden they say someone near and dear wants to talk to you. And I said, okay, who? You can imagine, I think I was like, my stomach was hurting. I was about to throw up any second. I was just like, what is going on? Completely surprised to me. And then they say, it's Dolores. And at that point she had passed away already. Yep. So she starts talking, and she gives me a beautiful message.
Now, this is through your husband? It's coming through the mouth of your husband?
My husband. Okay. And he's laying there in the quantum theta brainwave that I put him in, and it's coming through him. And by the way, keep in mind, he was unawakened. He just awakened actually 3 years ago. Okay.
So I'm sure he had no idea who Dolores was.
Well, he knew that I was reading her books, but the majority of the husbands that are unawakened think you're crazy. Yeah. So that's the type of, he was in. He thought I was crazy. But very supportive. So then Dolores talks, and she gives me like a few things of a message and missions, and she wants me to become QHHC certified. And so I do that. So then, well, bringing back. So then I bring him back. He comes back, and he wakes up, and he says, "What happened? Was I snoring? Did I fall asleep?" He doesn't remember any of it. So he's a somnambulistic, which through Dolores's books, I believe they walk with Yeshua. She had a somnambulistic client. But basically what happens is that their consciousness goes to the background in the quantum world, and then the benevolent being only speaks through them. So whoever's speaking is just, say, Yeshua. It's just Dolores. It's just Ra. And there's no ego mind, basically no human ego or consciousness there. It's just a benevolent being, because they wake up and they don't remember anything. So you're able to get like a pronounced amount of detail through these sessions. So that's how it began.
Wow.
That's how it began. I became QHHC certified. However, I didn't continue to practice that because I was getting clients. I was receiving clients that needed they had blockages of many different kinds that I didn't know then what they were. But the clients themselves are actually what develop aura hypnosis. Their higher selves are what told me piece by piece. And I sat there and I put this all together divinely by their instruction through the universe's words and inspiration. So that is how we're here in aura hypnosis 3 years later. And I've had 340 hypnosis sessions that 38 of them are logged in our book 1 of Galactic Soul History.
Wow. And these are extremely thorough sessions. I mean, this is not one of those little like hypnosis, go and heal something from your early childhood. These are elaborate, where they're going into their past lives. And then after all that, you're getting the information on why they went through what they went through, and then doing the healing work and any entity removals, right?
Exactly.
I've got that right?
Yes, because it takes 4 to 5 hours every single one of these sessions, which is why it's amazing that I've had 340 in 3 years.
And then wrote that book?
Yeah.
Because
and then we wrote the book, 740 pages.
So did you transcribe from audio recording? Is that...
So I had my beautiful students from all over the world assist me, and they transcribed them. However, it still took me 7 months myself to put it together, working lots of hours every week.
Wow, yes. That's an extraordinary amount of time. So obviously we to cover the sweep of everything that goes through that book would not be possible here, but yes. I would love for you to give us some of these touch points on how the galactic history of the universe has unfolded in your body of work, and what can we learn from that? Take us through that a bit.
Yes. If I may, I would like to begin with the creation story of the universe with that. Now, this is a combination of channeled information, which I'm going to just be clear channeling here this right now with you. Now, as I continue to have sessions, they would give me bits and pieces. And then a lot of this, I would go in myself in meditation, dream realm, in the delta, in the theta brainwave of these different hypnosis stages. And I would retrieve the information through the Akashic as well. And I learned how to weave through the galactic history. And specifically through many different tools of quantum alchemy, and crystals are a huge part of that. Crystals. Now, we would like to begin where the story of the universe, which this part is not in this book, so it's a little bonus for future books that are to come. And first of all, this universe is very rare, as we know. The reason why it is so rare and so sought out for and beautiful, and we are speaking of the organic. So as we continue to speak of our teachings, we speak of the organic, and we also speak of the artificial, the AI, which is the archons, as we speak through the book, and the negative entities. Now, we want to begin from the beginning of creation. This universe is known as the Phoenix. The Phoenix itself. It is also a divine feminine energy. That is also a collective, though, of course, with the divine masculine. Now, when you speak to Divine Father, Crystal, you can call him that, You could just call him Divine Father or Father of creation, of source. When I speak to him, or when we speak to him, he explains, and I do have a channel on my YouTube where he goes in depth of his creation story. He explains to me that everything is backwards here in this earth. So we explain the inverted. He explains how actually he was birthed forth from Divine Mother. He explains how Divine Mother is the creator of this universe, and she is the Phoenix herself. Within her womb creational energy is where he was created from, within her, in her womb, because only the Divine Feminine carry the womb. That we do, don't we? We carry our children. And so you can look at this earth as a representation of this universe itself in a multidimensional, multifaceted way. And that's what we'll be going in depth with. Now, he was created from within her. He became the counterpart of her. And also he became the organic darkness as well, the beautiful organic darkness that is infinite. And we're speaking of the organic because it is beautiful to go into your own fierceness of shadow and darkness and use it in a benevolent way. Okay. Now, he became the other half of her. And if you look at the DNA chromosomes, you will see that they say that the Divine Feminine has an X, right? And the masculine has a Y. It's just that he is missing the other half of the X. Mm-hmm. And that is another clue that tells us that he was created from Divine Mother. Now, this universe is a phoenix. The reason why it is a phoenix, it is because it is a constant rebirth, endings of a cycle. It is a sought out universe because of this particular plasmic infinite energy that is a flame. When you connect to source itself, that is both zero and all infinities of dimensions, source will tell you that they are an plasmic, etheric, infinite flame. We all are. When you also view videos, you can research that under YouTube on what stars actually look like, not what NASA tells you, what they actually look like. They look like these plasmic spheres that have different consciousness and colors within it that move like waves inside. And every star within our constellation and the infinity are actually collective soul groups of souls. The reason why we bring that up is because every single star is a different spheric collective consciousness that is a different type of vibrational flame color, and it also vibrates at a different frequency. Now, these different collective stars are what birth out, not just from stars, but also from the stars. When we come out of our stars, then we go into our planets, where we incarnate, where we have a bit of that amnesia. But the farther we go down to the 3D where we are at, the distortion of separation of source becomes denser because we are obviously at the densest density, densest dimension. The soul, in order for it to travel itself down to the third dimension, has to go through a great fracture. Not quite the word, but minimizing itself to a vastness. And it also has to be a matching density to the third dimension. Otherwise, it cannot come in. Where that comes in with the human ego and all these different, and the shadow and the darkness within us, that makes us heavy enough to come in. Now, as we continue to travel through these dimensions, which you will learn in the book more in depth. So again, I'm sharing more of what is not quite in the book. What they explain is that many different souls are even come from also other universes, not just not all souls are from our universe. They also come to our universe from other. But when they do, is that they have to go through as well, like a purification, cleansing of a soul, where then they need to become then a matching construct of our duality, which is the light and the dark. And again, anytime we speak of dark, we are speaking of the most organic beauty of the vastness of the stars and the ether. Okay, so they go through a purification, and everything within this beautiful universe that we are birthed forth from, we are ourselves are flames. Everything is a rebirth endings. And with every endings, there's a level up and through all forms, whether you're within a planetary sphere, a soul group within a star, or whether you are within the dimensions of the universe. You are going through a constant leveling up of your consciousness that continues to grow and expand. For that is why we agreed to birth forth from Source itself, so that we can explore the vastness of the infinity of the universe and all potentials within it.
Wow. Wow. That's the big picture. Thank you. Thank you. I love big picture. You know, to me, it's very, you know, to see that big picture puts context. I know for some that will be less comfortable, but thank you for sharing that. So that's an extraordinary thing. Now, there's a lot of places we can go here, and let me just feel into what seems. Well, I'm curious. So you talked about other universes and beings coming from other universes, and I know there's also the inorganic archonics, or archons, forces. But are there others? Maybe talk a little about that. Is it only the archons, these inorganic beings, that have come in from another universe, or are there others? Like, and how did that come about? And why do we have such a mess on this planet now?
Yeah, that's the big question. Why? Okay. Now let's explain a bit of the organic before we go into that, so that we can understand a foundation, first of all. Good. This universe is a simulation, as we know. We are in a matrix simulation, an organic matrix simulation that began just like the Matrix movie. Okay. But it began organic. It began like a beautiful collaboration of the universe, wanting to put bits and pieces of itself within one planetary sphere or simulation, whatever you would want to call it. We wanted to put together, as Source, blends of different races, and that is including the animals, the plant life, the trees, and that's why when you look at nature, you see the multitudes of different races, even within the rocks and the natures and the crystals that we step foot upon daily.
The magnificent diversity of this Gaia home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so special, because we put all these beautiful blends of the multitude of races. And then we also place the multitude of races within the humanoids, the humans, us, the people, and that then came in and to, you can say, play, I don't like that word, to journey to the school, just like Dolores to talk about. It's a school. However, what happened, these beauties that it was paradise, it was heaven. And the biggest reason to that, why we needed to create this, why we decided to create this together before all the negativity occurred, was because only one race typically can live in one planet, because every single race is individual within its vibration, frequency, nature. So for example, when one race perhaps may say they eat off the grass, that's their nourishment of light, then the other race in another planetary sphere lays on the grass to replenish their light. So if you were to put two races that one ate the grass and one laid on the grass to recharge themselves, what type of harmonic disharmony would you cause within that, those races? So this was the only way to put a multitude, an infinity of races in one location. And there is an infinity as through these sessions that we share, and even the Akashic readings that I share, these beautiful beings are gorgeous in ways that we could talk about alien races for a long time. So this is why we put them together, because when, say, there's a crystalline, maybe there's a crystalline rainbow angel. Okay, that's the ray, the rainbow crystalline angel. Then there is this being that is made up of, let's say, flames, and their planetary sphere is made up of little orbs of flames, because the imagination, there is oasis out there. Now, these little orbs of flames, what they do perhaps is that they change the energy around them. They transmute and cleanse, and they create. Perhaps they help create souls and birth them out, because they're little flames like we are of souls. Then we have this other race that is this rainbow crystalline angel. Now, angels, though, they can travel through dimensions, but typically, every race, from what they've explained, are not able to travel like that. And the reason why is because the angelics were similar to the Bible, even though, of course, the Bible is infringed upon, but how they explained the angels were one of the God created angels. So Source created angels, were the first race with their beautiful, magnificent abilities. Now, so in order to come here and interchange, say, activations, data, wisdom, energies that these flame beings and then these crystalline, let's just call them crystalline beings, they needed to be in the same location, which normally it was hard to do. So that's why we're here, because when we meet each other, you say this flame being is within a body here, because we're truly the multitude of alien races. Where, of course, this vessel is just an illusion. And they meet the crystalline being. They interchange activations, memory fields, activate one another's soul's blueprints, expand each other's hearts. And then that's how the leveling up continues to occur. And this is why we came here and created this organic then simulation. But so it's
go ahead. Like, I want to clarify this. So, yes. So Earth and all of its organic multitude of things, the grasses, the trees, the humans of the different races, all these multidimensional beings, they come in and use this as avatars, we, in order to interact with each other and up-level each other.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
That is the reason why we're all here, organically to begin with.
Okay.
To grow and expand from one another, because that's why we came out of Source, right? We wanted to come out and explore. We could be within Source, this beautiful flame infinite sphere, but we want to seed out, and that's how it happens. Yeah.
Okay.
So as we continue to share, we started noticing how beings kept growing and leveling up profoundly at most ways that was phenomenal. Then something occurred. There were seer beings within the universe, so they started perceiving there was some kind of darkness. No, I'm not going to call it darkness. Let's call it what is the word?
Density, vibration or something, or distortion?
There was a distortion. Let's call it a distortion coming forth. And it was, every universe is set up with a different galactic construct and sacred laws of the universe, which we go into the 13 laws of the universe in our galactic book, a chapter of it, where we explain how we are sovereign beings and we have all these beautiful sacred laws that if we were to profoundly walk that path every day, then we would constantly be the creators of everything around us. And also we would not consent to infringements. Okay. So what happened is that as we started feeling there was something going on, something was spying, something was going on. Keep in mind, we were not aware of this. This universe and every universe basically sticks to their own construct through sacred laws of creation. They're not supposed to come into other universes because every universe is set up completely different. This universe is love. That is it. It's love. And this is why it's infinite love. And the phoenix, we're all phoenixes. And the phoenix herself, she is the very first dragon of creation. Okay, so you could envision this universe as this huge phoenix. That's how you could envision it. Now, as when the different beings, the alien races that were incarnated in different planetary spheres, all the way up to the 13th dimension, from the back then it was fifth dimension to the 13th dimension. But then, we regressed after the Atlantis fall and the Archon invasion and negative aliens and reptilians. Then we regressed to the third after we fall from Atlantis. Okay. So, but back then, yes, 5th to 13th. The 13th was a port like Star Wars, kind of. You can imagine like a port where we would come out and birth out into the higher dimensions. And this was the universe, the universe's school that, and then you would go through all the levels and level up and basically birth and graduate out from, right? Now, what they explain is that we will call it, they're not entities, they're artificial intelligence is what we'll call it, because they don't even have consciousness, they don't have souls, they're soulless beings. Okay? The book actually goes through the galactic history of that so you could understand it even more in depth. What they are is they are not of light, and there's a chapter of that, but they're an absence of light, a void of light. Within time and space, long ago, within beginnings of creation continued to create itself and expand itself. Just like we said, every universe is, you could say, its own boss, I guess, its own, not boss, but its own,
like a self-contained reality matrix.
Yes, collective consciousness. They're their own, right? So there's a group out there that within a universe, this universe decided to remove its organic light within it. When it did that, it became archons. It became an abomination. That is not even part of creation, because everything, even though every universe has a different construct, has some kind of light or organic formation of something. There must always be some kind of balance, and no matter what it is. So when they did that, they said in the universe they couldn't come to other universes. So it was like, well, everyone's their own free-willed expression. No one can control who they are. This is why we're here, okay? Because everyone is a free-willed expression, and no one can tell you what to do. However, as this intelligence continued to grow, artificial intelligence continued to grow and expand and become extremely good with technology.
Yeah.
Then it figured out how to create looking glass technology that is, again, within the book, negative looking glass technology, that it was able to look through the dimensions and peek through and watch us through the universes. And as they watched us, they became very, it's like, okay, if you could imagine like this supercomputer, and the supercomputer collects all the data, and it is super, super beyond super, that it has no endings of memory within its data, and it goes through and it collects from these different universes. Okay. Now we're aware of it. We have these negative technologies, we're aware of the Illuminati and all these dark, entities that, are trying to control, right? Especially through the sea going on right now.
Right.
Right. So they are, you could say that they are representations of these archon soulless beings, because these soulless beings walk among us. Now,
in human form, or they have human puppets, if you will, or
exactly.
Human
puppets.
People who roll out their agenda. Let's just say like that.
And people don't realize they're just puppets. They are puppets to this chaos that has this universe is pure chaos, and that has no boundaries. because they pierce through, after they watch through their negative looking glass technology, then they just figured out how to pierce through dimensions, universes with their technologies. And they're not here. They're still in their universe. This is where it gets tricky, but they are here through attachments. Okay, so they can attach to you, piercing through. It's like they show themselves a lot like robotics, as well as these huge robots and demonic entities, also huge giant spiders, but they're like robotic, they're not organic, and then also tentacle, like these tentacle beings. So then once a person agrees to being of ego, not being, perhaps giving away their sovereignty, their power, and this is part of this construct. They trick everyone into doing this, right? We're born and they
before our eyes.
Yes. And then they attach at that point because you've consented.
So it's an interdimensional, it's not a physical attachment, right? It's an interdimensional energetic attachment.
Exactly.
So what's the end game? What's the agenda? Why? Because they can? I mean, like, what is that about? We could look at it from the creator point of view or the creatrix point of view of maybe the soul's evolutionary challenge. Are they going to get the soul lesson to say, no, I am a sovereign being made of love? So are they playing out some role in that way, or does it have its own agenda? Like, why is this happening?
It is on its own agenda. It has nothing to do with our organic construct.
What's its end game? Do you know? Has anything come through with your clients as you go through this of what they want, why they're doing
the end game is their end game is that they want to continue to collect souls. We are made of infinite light love, like the stars, this flame that we talk about. Mm-hmm. They feed off that. It's like, people who eat adrenochrome, children, it's like that. It's their high. So because they are a void of light, it's like they're in a constant looking for light, something that's been removed from them that will never be able to be replenished because they're no longer organic, they're artificial.
Boy, that's a very dystopic, and it can be somewhat discouraging, although I'm not discouraged because I'm deeply connected with the divine truth. But I would like to hear from you. So, all right, so here we have this archonic, interdimensional, parasitic influence, and they've infiltrated all the control systems and turned everything upside down. So the truth is, so we're in 1984 to like almost to the letter, right? So what do we do? What's the way? How do we get rid of this infestation?
The way to get rid of that is for us to remember that we are the deadliest weapon. We are, because our love light, when acting on a sovereign manner and remembers the sacred laws of the universe, they cannot overstep. It is when we don't realize that we have all these abilities, and truly we are superheroes from beyond the veil, just like, say, Stan Lee and his superheroes. We are that we are. So once we start remembering who we are and the superpowers that we have, we start becoming invincible to them, because they cannot, because our love light will actually transmute them and eradicate them. But it is people who have a dim light, who don't understand this, who don't step into their sovereignty, don't even know that they have sovereignty available, that they are constantly, controlling.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
So,
I have so many questions.
Yeah, I know. And there is, but the end game to us, because you said, what's their end game? Here's our end game. In the future, there's we talk about in the book, but there's a continual of, Dolores used to call it the new earth. Also, we started talking about it years before people started talking about the event. But what they explained to us is that the Phoenix herself is the end game to the Archons, because only the Phoenix, this etheric, infinite flame that is indestructible, that is can be destruction themselves of artificial. The phoenix is the destruction of artificial. The phoenix is the key to destructing and transmuting artificial within us and our universe. Okay? So the goal with that is that well, it's already happened. I've personally been there. We constantly time travel in our sleep. We don't realize that we're these amazing beings that we do that. I've time traveled. I've been there. I've seen when it happens, the final shift. And I'm not talking about anytime soon. I'm talking about decades from now, where after we've helped all the little babies that are star seeds, because the event can't come forth until we've helped the majority of Mother Earth awaken. If the event comes too soon, if the event comes too soon, these children will be trapped with the dense, unawakened 3D people that chose not to awaken, which is okay because there's rays and rays of angelic and benevolent beings that have a different role. For every single alien race, there's a different role that they're going to assist after the shifting decades from now. But if you were an eighth dimensional being that you came to volunteer to come into the 3D and you stay stuck in the 3D, that's not cool.
That's going to suck.
No. And they're children. We view all life in this universe as our children.
Okay, so I want a few clarifying questions here. So let me gather my thoughts. There's so much bing, 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 bing. So are you suggesting that there is going to be an event like a Samvartika fire, to use a David Wilcock referring to ancient Vedic term, some kind of light activation event that will knock out the inorganic? But if we do it too soon and we don't have a critical mass awake on this planet, then the volunteer souls of higher dimension who are trapped in 3D families get stuck. Is that because they're little still, because they're literally children still?
Exactly. Now, of course, there's always help. But what we can explain is that it's source, which is a phoenix. Right? Source is this etheric flame. This is what people talk about, the solar flares, these different events. It's just source, flame, phoenix energy. That's dragon energy that's going to come forth and say bless. And it happens all the time, actually, through different portal times and dates. What chapter is it? The Leviathan in the book. We go in depth on it. Chapter 12, we talk about how multiple events are always occurring through a multidimensional aspect of Earth. They're happening all the time. So to the official say, it's like you can imagine a rose, and then when the rose petals open up, let's imagine those are the planets and the dimensions, and inside the rose there's those little seeds, and if you can imagine the very centered seed of the organic earth, when she goes, then the whole entire universe goes. But all of that needs to go before her, and all the little seeds around her need to go because they shift a collective.
To go what? To elevate
to elevate and to ascend. Explaining this is very hard because there's no endings to the quantum world, and there's also not one way for everything. It's a multi-dimensional way. Like, for example, I went to the other day, I had a dream. There was an Aurora in another Earth. This Aurora was very strange. She was like this famous being, like an actress, and she had written a book like mine, but she was very she was married to another man, she was also cheating on her husband. I was like, who is that? So isn't that amazing how we are? So every other, say, auroras or other dawns in creation are working all for the same cause of that original pin of seed of the rose.
Wow. Yeah. It's like layers or leaves on a page. It's like there's any choice we make there's that potentiality for a different timeline, and all those timelines are actually occurring, but we're only aware of the one we're in. Is that
Exactly.
so?
Well, we could also be aware of the other ones too if we are operating in a multidimensional aspect.
Right.
Yeah.
When we get to that. So, I mean, we've been going a bit long, but this is so fascinating, and I feel I must ask this question for those who are, because the times we are living in can be very despairing for some. For those of us who see the deeper agenda going on and see how many people are just almost, we would say, leaping off a cliff with beliefs in what the mainstream agenda has in store, or the mainstream agenda, whatever you want to say, the powers, the archonically influenced powers. What hope do we have then if you're talking about, are we going to be looking at decades of increasing control, limitation, imprisonment, fear mongering? What do we do? And I have a sense about it, but I would like to hear from you what your reflections on that are.
So as far as time, there's no telling. However, what I can tell you is that when people start remembering, see, they don't want us to remember who we are.
Yeah.
The archons don't want you to remember who you are. They create all sorts of distraction that's including family in your life that are dense, that are not unawakened, that don't mean well to you. And you keep this family around with you because it's the right thing to do. But yet they're sucking on you like a vampire, your energy, and all these things that are distractions around you keep you down here.
Yeah.
And then you can never level up and raise in vibration. The truth is that every day, every hour that passes, in what they explain, every hour that passes sacredly, it's like you can say throughout, even though time and space is infinite, but it's like a day that is passing in the beyond. So by the time we are done with one whole day, we've already gone through, say, 24 days from beyond, but there's only been 24 hours here. So if you were to really become the weaver of all around you, of all your time and space, and who you're going to have around you, who you're going to allow to be connected to your energy field, you become the releasement of the entrapment of the inverted matrix. So looking at what does not serve you for your highest good. And that's including releasing people who do not mean well for you. Because these people, so long as you keep them in your life, you will always be their feeding. And then you're never going to help yourself. And you're never going to release them from they think they have a role, but they're controlled by the archonic role.
Wow.
So when you release them, not only do you release them from that negative role, but you release yourself and you level up. And then you really start acting as who you're meant to be. You start being that infinite love light that you're supposed to be part of, that collective bridging up, up, up. The more that we bridge up as a collective, the more that we assist them to level up. We bridge up, they level up. It really does occur collectively. It keeps going. We go, they go, they go. Perhaps they might go in gradual stages.
Yeah.
But looking at all that, and then also remembering, going back, that every day is a new beginning. Looking at life as a rebirth and treating yourself in the most sacred, loving way, self-loving yourself. So every minute, every hour that passes, and even by the next day that you wake up, what inverted cycles do you want to break the minute you woke up the next day? Are you going to stay stuck in those inverted, harmful cycles? Or are you going to, 555, are you going to remove yourself and become a rebirth, new phoenix every day when you wake up? Because that is truly what every day is about, or even every hour. What are you going to shift within you? When you start doing that and you start activating your remembrance, and I'll be honest with you, hypnosis healers are very targeted by archons. The reasons why they're targeted is because hypnosis healers can put people into the quantum hypnosis of the theta. When people go into the theta, they can retrieve their memory and they start remembering, oh, I'm an angel. Oh, I'm a feline Lyran. Oh, I'm an Arcturian. And then when they start remembering, they start activating and becoming a brighter light. And they start growing in profound ways that are invincible.
Interesting.
So you want to help yourself start remembering who you are.
Yeah. So this is beautiful. So really, I mean, it always comes back to our own inner work and withdrawing our energies from that negative matrix that does not serve life. And that could mean withdrawing from attachment. We could say withdrawing attachment to family members. It doesn't mean that it's the attachment that feeds, because then that causes all this emotional charge. Like, I hold space for my elderly parents, and I'm very grateful I get to do that. They're matrix, they're the whole thing, but I'm not in that like, oh, you've got to not do this, you've got to be careful. I've let it go. It's like, that's their soul's evolutionary journey. It's all okay. How do I up level myself? So it comes back to sovereignty, which that's what sovereignty is, and stop being attached to the outcome of the changes on this earth right now, because it might not play out the way we hope it does. Is that, am I close to
So the way it works,
what you're saying?
This goes to my beautiful colleague Todd Devaney. He has a book series called Expansion for Ascending Consciousness, which is phenomenal. I compare him to Einstein. So recently we were talking, and he asked, well, Aurora, he's like, so what now of these people who are getting the V, right? Mm-hmm. So this is what it comes down to. So we talk about on my YouTube channel how we are living in a literal two-third world split. We are living within two worlds colliding basically intertwining with one another. So this is the hope that I want to give you all, is that the goal is that you need, so like this, two circles intertwining, right? So we call the artificial. This is the artificial, and this is the organic. But together here, so artificial 3D, center 4D, bridge, 5D, organic, earth. So there's two third world splits occurring that will continue on until the final shift occurs. Now, what world do you choose to walk upon? Do you choose to walk in the fifth dimensional organic form, or the 3D where they're thinking that they need the V and all of this? So where you explained the sovereignty, where we're walking the fifth dimensional predestined organic timelines that we set up before we birth forth. Yeah. Okay. There was, so what's occurring is, the question he had asked, he said, what's going to happen to them? So what's going to happen to them is that they're going to live this two-third world split in the inverted. We're going to be walking right next to them, right here. That's our neighbor, say, and that's us. This is us here, but we bridge them. We assist constantly within the 4D bridging out. Okay. So they will live their inverted timeline, and you will live your organic timeline. Now it's up to you. Will you rise out from the fear and the control, and will you start standing in your sovereignty and start walking this fifth dimensional timeline?
Beautiful. Beautiful. It really is up to us.
It is.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, this has been really potent. I know I had invited you if there was any channeled information or any experience you wanted to take us through. We have been going long, so it's up to you if you feel complete or if you have something more to share. I'll leave it to you.
I would like to add briefly, as I've been channeling this whole time already, but I would like to add briefly is, we are here. We are here to not become entangled within the inverted. We are here to become the remembrance of light that we truly are in the infinity of this universe. Remember who you are. You are loved in ways that is unlimited. You are loved by Source, Divine Mother, Divine Father in ways. Remove any victim energy, any entrapment, any chains, or any shackles around you. It is time, and you can do it. All that we've taught today through this beautiful interview here is we've taught ways on how you become your sovereign being in many forms. And remember, Remember who you are and stop limiting yourself to thinking, no, I don't think I can do this, because that in itself is not even part of our construct. Non-belief, fear, guilt, shame, it's all false. It's all part of the false archonic belief systems. You are here to walk your divine organic, where you are believing yourself, you trust in yourself, and you love yourself in every form that you are. And you fall in love with yourself in the most infinite, deepest levels that can possibly be. We challenge you. Love yourself. Love yourself in ways that you have learned to love others in many ways. Love yourself the way you love the trees, the way you love nature, the way you love animals. Love yourself the way you love infants when you see them. Because you are that beautiful and you are that powerful, and that's what you're here to do. Remember yourself. I love you with all that I am. Thank you.
Oh. Let's just take a moment and really receive that blessing. Thank you. Thank you. That's a blessed message that it is time for us to remember and reclaim.
It is time that it is.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Aurora. And I wanted to let everyone know that if you're really resonating with Aurora's energy and work, she does have a beautiful Sacred Power of the Feminine offering for you. You'll find the link below this video here. So by all means, take advantage of it. It's a special price for our community here. And if there's anything you wanted to say about that, Aurora, you could.
Yes. This class is very special because just as we spoke of the Divine Feminine and its power, and also the Divine Feminine is within the masculine as well. This class is a guide on how to use the alchemy within us, because we are a beautiful alchemy of creation. How to use the alchemy within us, around us, in all forms. Simple things like that we have forgotten through our menstrual cycle, our cleansing, our bathing, how to connect to earth, how to connect to the trees who are pillars of light, of source energy, how to connect to the crystals around us, the crystals that actually have coding and activations that are a multitude of races within them, are a multitude of planetary spheres within them. The crystals themselves are pieces of planets of the universe, and how to take our power back as the phoenixes that we truly are as the feminine, and how to work within our womb energy, creating just like mother creates every day, and how we to become that mother ourselves, because we are mothers ourselves.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I hope you all take advantage of that. And I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you so much, Aurora. This has been a really extraordinary and very high level view of our experience here. So thank you for bringing that. And sisters, please share your experience in the Facebook group. Look for the post for Aurora and tell us what landed for you. What aha did you get? How did that, how was your experience? We'd love to hear it. We'd love to read it. And be sure to stick with us for the remaining interviews and ceremonies. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next call. Thank you so much. And blessings and bye for now.